Hi, and welcome back to me talking about whatever I want. Today I want to talk about Shallon Lester. Not so much that I want to talk about her, but I definitely feel like I have to, just because what she's doing is inexcusable, and I think everybody should know this. I'm gonna go ahead and skip the shoutouts and the pleasantries and all that, and instead just start it off with a bit of a content warning. We're gonna be discussing suicide, a range of mental disorders, and unfortunately, it's gonna be very insensitive. Hopefully not because of me, but because of what Shallon's saying. But with that being said, let's just discuss it already. So Shallon Lester's a celebrity gossip personality, if that's what you want to call her. As she'll constantly tell you throughout her videos, she was the editor for Star Magazine. And as you can see, she was also on the Wendy Williams show, along with the Daily Mail. Basically, just think of the least credible places to do journalism, and Shallon probably had something to do with it. So she built her entire career off of speculating off of celebrities' personal lives. From there, she transitioned into being more of an online personality. You might have actually seen her in those Howcast kissing tutorials that went viral. And currently, Shallon's uploading on her YouTube channel, which has 364,000 subscribers as of the time I'm recording this video. She uploads daily, and she's branded herself as giving like relationship advice and lifestyle advice and all that stuff. And she's pivoted into providing psychology content. And you can see this in her Twitter, which, looks like I'm blocked. So if you're wondering why I got blocked actually before I made the video and not after, it's because I caught on to what she's doing like pretty much immediately after finding her. And I made that public and she found that and blocked me. I still got everything I need off of her Twitter. But the reason that I wound up in her Twitter in the first place is I was doing research for a video that I'm making about Ellen DeGeneres. And while I was trying to learn more about Ellen, Shallon's video popped up. So I'm just gonna walk you through the series of videos that I watched and then the conclusions that I eventually came to. So we're going to start off with this Ellen video, How to Spot a Psychopath, The Truth About Ellen DeGeneres, which honestly, it was really stupid of me to even click into that video because you can't psychoanalyze somebody and determine whether they're a psychopath from television interviews or YouTube videos, but curiosity got the better of me.
So, if you're new to this channel, there's two things that I love: crazy people and celebrities.
Honestly, the video was starting off weird because why do you love crazy people, as you're putting it exactly? Don't get me wrong, I do understand calling people crazy, as I have done it on my channel before, but in the context of determining whether or not someone's a psychopath, to say I love crazy people is kind of weird, but...
Here's some things that I know about Ellen. She is so mean to that wife of hers.
Okay, so honestly, I was not expecting the video to just... I thought it was gonna be like analyzing Ellen's television clips, but instead I guess we're dishing on Ellen's personal life for some reason.
What Ellen did to her allegedly that was always so bad was that she refused to let this woman have a baby.
So this was just such a weird point to me. I guess she's trying to show how bad of a person is by not letting her wife have a baby. But the issue with that is that's just flat out wrong. Like when she said it, it didn't sound like a real thing to me, so I did a bit of research. Not only did I find this clip from Ellen explaining that her wife Portia doesn't want kids.
No, Portia doesn't want kids. She doesn't like the squealing when they're in a pool, that high-pitched squealing of joy that they have.
I also found this quote from Portia herself in Out Magazine saying, "You have to really want to have kids and neither of us did, so it's just going to be me and Ellen and no babies. But we're the best of friends and married life is blissful, it really is. I've never been happier than I am right now." Which doesn't sound anything like Ellen is so mean to that wife of hers. So right off the bat, I just find it really weird, like, to present this information as if it's true. And I am aware that she was like, allegedly, but I mean, this isn't alleged. Nobody's saying this. You're just making this up.
What does that woman do all day? Nothing. She does nothing. Like, they probably have a billion servants and cleaning ladies. She's not cleaning the house. She's probably not cooking the dinner. Like, all she wants is just a baby. You have one person who is essentially a tyrant, right? This is my way, this is the highway. You're not making any money, are you? No, so I make the rules. And I had heard so many stories from behind the scenes that is exactly how she behaved at work.
So this is what she's basing her entire video off of, is this whole story that Ellen is so mean she wouldn't even let her wife have a baby. And that her wife is just bored at home doing nothing all day, which is another flat out obvious provable lie, because you can just look at Portia de Rossi's IMDb page and see the myriad shows she was in. I understand making a video capitalizing off of the recent buzz about Ellen not being a great person, because from what I have Googled myself, I have come to the conclusion that Ellen DeGeneres has some weird stuff going on. But to build that entire argument off of a lie that you're just making up to fit the narrative and tell your viewers that Ellen is like this really awful person that you have no idea, really just shoots down the whole purpose of your video. And again, why am I acting surprised when the whole purpose of your video is invalid to begin with? Because you cannot psychoanalyze people like this.
So let's go over the hair psychopathy checklist. So the way this works is there's like bullet points, and you can get a score of 0, which this doesn't apply at all. 1 applies to a certain extent, or fully applies 2 points. So the bar for clinical psychopathy is a score of 30 or higher. So maybe she's not Ted Bundy level 39, but do you want to deal with someone who's even level 25?
Shallon Lester has no psychology degree that I was able to see, and honestly, even if she did, that wouldn't mean anything to me, because what she proceeds to do throughout the rest of the video that I'm going to show you is extremely unethical. So studying psychology isn't really a pass to become an armchair psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever you want to call it. And probably the easiest example of why it's not valid to call somebody a psychopath over the internet by using the hair psychopathy checklist is if I apply the same checklist to Shallon, I can very easily say that she meets the criteria. I mean, you can see it right here on her screen. I'll give her 2 for superficial charm, 2 for grandiose sense of self-worth, since she seems to think that the stories she makes up are more valid than what those celebrities are actually saying about themselves. A 2 for proneness to boredom, since she's uploading every day. I can relate to that one. Definite 2 for pathological lying, 2 for manipulative, 2 for lack of remorse and guilt, because you're actually going to see that come up later. Definite 2 for shallow affect. I'm going to give her a large 2 for lack of empathy, because she starts making comments that I'm going to include later in the video that point to something much larger than a general lack of empathy. Let's see, I'm going to give her a 2 for parasitic lifestyle, since her entire livelihood revolved around making up lies around other people's lives. Definite 2 for poor behavioral controls. Obvious 2 for promiscuous sexual behavior. You might be thinking, how do you know that? I mean, it's in the very same video.
Oh, they just postponed the Olympics. Does not affect my life in any way. Like, I needed that extra year to train. I'm sure I'll be at this one for the sexual arts. Is that an Olympic? I don't know. I can get both my legs behind my head if that helps.
Gonna give her a 0 for lack of realistic long-term goals, because I don't know her personally. Definite 2 for impulsivity and irresponsibility and failure to accept responsibility for one's own actions. I don't know if she's been married or not, so that's a 0. 0 on delinquency, 0 on revocation of conditional release. I don't know. Should I give her a 2 for criminal versatility? If we're going to consider slander a crime, I'm just going to throw that 2 in there, since I'm trying to prove that she is a psychopath by using this test, and I have no interest in actually helping her. And it looks like that brings her out to a clean 30. So she might not be a Ted Bundy, but by what I just sat here from my literal chair and decided, yes, she's a psychopath. Now, do I actually think she's a psychopath? No. I don't know, because I know nothing about psychology, and even if I did, I would only practice it in my respective environment. But I mean, if Shallon can do it and I could too, then I'll just go ahead and say what she said. I'm sorry, but she simply checks too many of these boxes for me.
I'm sorry, but she simply checks too many of these boxes for me. And this is not documented, but I have noticed this throughout my own personal non-peer-reviewed research of psychopaths, is a love for animals. Do you know who loved animals so much that they made a ton of animal protection laws? Hitler.
I don't really know how to respond to that. I think I'm just not going to, because I'm sure everyone can see that that's just not. Moving on.
And so all of this adds up to a profile of someone who's very scary. Very scary.
Kind of ironic for her to say that, because the vibe I was getting just off of this video was very scary. But honestly, just what she did was wrong in this video, because you can't just throw around psychology terms and try to make somebody into having some sort of disorder or shortcoming or whatever you want to call it. And honestly, even the fake narrative that she created that Ellen is mean to her wife doesn't really correlate with psychopathy anyway, because this quote right here from Psychology Today, in an article written by an actual doctor with a doctorate, says, like healthy people, many psychopaths love their parents, spouse, children, and pets in their own way, but they have difficulty in loving and trusting the rest of the world. So honestly, even if, let's say Ellen was a psychopath secretly, That doesn't mean that she's just mean and evil to her wife. That's just what was the point of this video, I guess? You know what I mean? And seeing as it got almost 1 million views, I do think it's important to kind of counteract that. So I wanted to see what she had to say about some other people, and it just got worse and worse. Next video we're gonna watch: Prince Harry, Meghan Markle divorcing, why the pandemic will ruin their marriage. I'm all here for a bit of clickbait, but pretending like somebody's getting divorced when there's not even rumors is a lot.
I called this from the beginning. I have a very low opinion of Meghan Markle, and it's sad because I started out loving her. Like, she's so beautiful, and she's like shaking everything up. She's divorcee, she's biracial, she's doing things her way. And then I realized what a manipulator she was.
All right, so you may already be picking up some similar themes. Starting off the video like, oh, I said this from the beginning, is a very Shallon thing to do, which kind of instills this false confidence with her audience, thinking, oh yeah, Shallon's right about everything, so she must be right that Meghan's like a manipulator, right? Another common theme that we just saw in the last video is that she decides that these people have these negative traits, like psychopathy or being manipulative, which is just bad. And so she'll decide that this person has them, and then she'll start doing everything she can to reshape their narrative to prove that this person is that way. And even if that means filling in the plot holes because it's a lie with other lies, then she'll just invent them.
She is a woman who took a man away from his family through her own manipulation and machinations. She was in his ear, Markle sparkling him and being like, you're the true king. You don't need any of them. You're no one's puppet. You're a man all on your own. Look at everything you've accomplished. Look at everything you have to give to the world. Step away from them and towards me, the only person who sees that in you.
Does she just watch Meghan and Harry while they sleep? Like, was she there when their son was conceived? Because that's honestly how she's talking about them. It's just so weird. But again, like I said, it gets worse.
The first thing an abuser wants to do is get their victim alone. Whether they're just going to take him out in a field and shoot him, or whether they're going to spend 5 years gaslighting them and removing them from their family so that they have complete opinion control over them. I believe she's a morally corrupt person for removing this man from a family. Imperfect though it was still his.
Yeah, an abuser. She literally called Meghan Markle an abuser. Yes, the narrative of this video is very much that Meghan Markle is this abusive manipulator who did everything within her power to tear Harry away from the royal family, which, by the way, is pointing to some things that are going to come up later in this video, which is that Shallon has a strange worldview about like the power dynamic in relationships. She'll tend to just put all of the problems onto one person. Like Prince Harry is an object that Meghan Markle picked up and stuck in her pocket. To call someone morally corrupt over something that they didn't do, what is there to say about that, really?
I don't think she has any particular ties to her family. Like, where's her mom been lately? She only trotted that woman out when she needed the PR before the wedding. Like, where's she with the baby? It's all just very sus. It was Meghan who leaked to the press that William had affairs so that she could put Kate in her place and not make that bitch quite so uppity. This is all stuff Meghan has done, right? Meghan and Harry have been behind the scenes trying to beg to Instagram. It's like, well, if we start a new account, just move all our followers over there. And they're like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that anymore. And they're like, but we're special. That's literally what Meghan has been saying. But we're exceptional. We're special.
So that was just 3 lies in a row. What were they? 1, Meghan only interacts with her mom for PR. 2, she leaked stories about Kate Middleton or something. I don't know. And 3, they're trying to force Instagram to transfer their followers to a new account. None of this is true. Google is free. I mean, first of all, it doesn't even sound true. But again, I think it's just crazy how she can do this with such a straight face. And like, it's not parody. She's not even saying allegedly. You obviously heard her say, these are all things that Meghan has done.
Your father is very possibly going to die from a virus that's sweeping the world that there's no known cure for. And your wife is like, but our Instagram. I imagine this must be an incredibly lonely and isolating time for Prince Harry. And I do feel sorry for him. He got taken in by a con man.
That little is literally how I feel watching this video. Like, this is happening right in front of me. Wow. All right. So by this point, I was starting to build a better picture of Shallon Lester. From the Ellen video, we get that she lies. Okay, whatever. From this video, we get that she doesn't just lie, but she creates narratives around these people to fit her worldview of how these people are that she decides for them. So I decided to see how she tackles mental health. What if Shallon Lester's view of somebody contradicts their view of themselves? So I watched this video, The Truth About Pete Davidson, Ariana Grande, When Guys Play the Victim, which this is already a weird title, but then the thumbnail says, How Beta Males Manipulate Women. So already we're seeing this thing where it's all on Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande is just a child, I guess. Not like there's two people in a relationship, right? That's crazy.
We're going to talk about Ariana Grande today, and not just Ariana, her garbage fire of an ex, Pete Davidson. The thing that I had a problem with Pete was not that he's bipolar, not great, not that he's got borderline personality disorder, also not great, but that he doesn't care to fix any of it.
All right, so hitherto I've been pretty, I guess, easy on her, because what she's doing is weird, but definitely not harmful. But now we're crossing over into the harmful category. First of all, that's one of the stupidest things I've heard all day. That's a lie, actually, because I've already started editing this video, so I heard everything else she was about to say after this. But you don't fix bipolar disorder. You don't fix borderline personality disorder. And to even imply that it's something that you can choose to fix is ridiculous. It's literal victim blaming, which fits you calling him a victim in the title of the video. Weird. Unless Pete Davidson was out here in interviews like, oh yeah, I don't care if the BPD winds up driving me over the edge, then so be it. Okay, sure, you can very easily say that somebody's not trying to fix it, even though you should still be very concerned over that person. But to call somebody a garbage fire and say that you have a problem with them for not trying to fix their mental illness is harmful and ugly.
So Pete went on Charlamagne the God's radio show.
So this whole video of hers is her reacting to Charlamagne the God's interview with Pete. But she didn't watch the interview. And I know she didn't watch the interview because of something that's going to come up in a second.
His doctors are always adjusting his medication. I mean, for bipolar, you can't be medicated for borderline personality disorder because it's your personality. There's no like cool pill. So he's going to rehab in service of getting more drugs. That's what that means. I go to rehab so I can con my doctors into giving me more drugs.
All right, so again, we're back into stupid, harmful, idiot territory. The whole idea that you're scamming your doctors out of drugs by going to rehab and getting them readjusted is, I don't understand how somebody can believe that. And does she believe it? Because clearly she says things that she knows aren't true. And if you knew anything about bipolar disorder, for example, or similar disorders, then you would know that's not something that you just get a prescription for and then you just keep taking that medicine for the rest of your life. And wow, you fixed your disorder. No, that's what somebody who's ignorant about mental health would think. If you could do the slightest bit of research, then you would know that getting your meds readjusted is a huge part of staying on track with a healthy treatment. But yeah, I mean, people with these disorders already struggle with feeling like they're a burden on other people. So then to go and say, oh yeah, you're also scamming the doctors out of medicine, it's like not just a lack of awareness, but just ugly.
He also said that he's a cutter. He cuts his chest and then he hides the cuts with tattoos. I was a cutter for a while, for a few years, and it is truly one of the most shameful chapters in my life. And I don't just like speak about it, and I wouldn't just speak about it to Charlamagne the God when I don't believe Charlamagne asked.
Okay, I can pretty confidently say I've never heard anybody say nobody asked in response to someone sharing their journeys with self-harm. Up until this point in my life, I didn't know that there were people who thought things like that. I didn't know that people could be that cruel. That's the only word that's coming to mind to say, hey, I don't even think Charlamagne asked, so why are you talking about this in the interview about Pete Davidson? But going back to my earlier point of me saying she didn't watch the video, yeah, Charlamagne did ask.
What does cutting look like?
And let's say Charlamagne didn't ask. What is the implication here? That Pete is just supposed to keep this to himself. That's just so stupid.
Pete, on one hand, like, idolizes his mother and his sister, but he's got borderline personality disorder. So something bad happened in that house.
All right, here we go again. You want to say Ellen yells at her wife. That's cool or whatever. I don't think that's whatever. But to come out here and say, oh, hey, you have a mental disorder. So that love that you feel for your family members, that's great. But obviously something happened in your household. Does borderline personality disorder relate to trauma? Yes, obviously. But I just don't think it's in any handbook or guide that it specifically has to be from your family. If you love your mother and sister, but you have borderline personality disorder, then, oh, they must have done something. That's ridiculous. And so she's not just making up lies like, ooh, Megan is whispering creepy things in Harry's ear. Now we're getting to, well, Pete Davidson has borderline personality disorder, so clearly his family did something to him. This is definitely in the territory that I would call unacceptable content.
He said he has suicidal thoughts, but insisted he would never commit suicide because he has a mom and a sister and doesn't want to hurt them. You know what him bringing that up smacks of to me? Revenge. Revenge. If you're not going to commit suicide, if that's just like not on the table, why would you even bring it up?
I have never heard anything worse than this. I don't think I've heard anything worse than the phrase, if you're not actually going to commit suicide, then why even bring it up? That's ridiculous. And if you struggle with suicidal thoughts, as she said she has, by the way, in this video, it's a little weird. And I'm not saying she hasn't. I'm saying I'm not sure why she's taking this into account or why she's not taking this into account. The feeling like you can't tell anybody about this because you would be a burden on them is a huge part of suicidal ideation. And on top of that, to invalidate Pete's reasoning for why he's not going through it, which is because he doesn't want to hurt his family members, that's doubly harmful because that is an enormous factor in keeping so many people on this earth. The feeling that you don't want to cause irreversible harm to the people in your family. So nobody has first of all, let's get one thing straight. Nobody has the right to prevent you from bringing these things up in the first place, like Shallon's trying to do right here. But how could you say this? I guess the only reason I've been able to make this video so far is because I've had to force myself to detach myself from what I'm talking about because I have struggled with some of it. So no, I'm not ever going to let something like this stand. If you are thinking about it, if you don't think you're going to do it, then it doesn't matter. You don't have to hit a certain criteria for being suicidal before you are allowed to bring it up. And obviously there are some people who say, oh, well, hey, if you don't do this, then I'm going to kill myself. But to try to pretend like that equals saying, yeah, I have suicidal thoughts, but I love my family too much, so I'm not going to do it, is disgusting and shaming suicidal people. But Shallon doesn't have respect for people, any kind of people. She doesn't. All right. Before I move forward, look at her face right here. And I'm not typically one of the people to be like, oh, look at this person. They look so evil and creepy. But in this case, look at the smile she has on her face. Look at her expression she's making while she says what she's about to say.
Do you think Charlemagne the God asked what kind of IV drips he gets for Crohn's disease? I bet he didn't. I bet Pete volunteered this, just like he volunteered that he has anxiety, maybe because you're stuffing your body full of things like acid. He brings all this up for victimhood.
She's honestly just sitting here spewing hate about a man with borderline personality disorder and bipolar disorder and suicidal thoughts. And I find it just crazy that she's gotten away with this. Honestly, so ugly. And I'm not talking about visually, because she has that ugliness. That ugliness I'm talking about is something you can't see. You just feel it. And that's what Shallon Lester is, honestly.
I have so many problems. Like, well, are you like doing a lot of really intensive therapy? Are you staying sober? Are you doing yoga meditation? It's like, nah, party's back on. I hate his voice. I can't imagine him on top of me like snorting. Ugh.
To say the words, I can't imagine him on top of me in the context of a conversation about his struggles with mental health. I have so many problems. Well, are you going to therapy? Again, if she had watched the interview that she's reacting to, then she would already know that he said he's been going to therapy multiple times a week. So she is actively not listening. She didn't bother to watch the man speak before she formed an opinion about the validity of his mental health and his right to share it. So I was really just getting the vibe that she hates men sharing their mental health journeys, not just Pete Davidson. And the reason I'm saying this is because she specifically singled him out as being a male victim in the beginning of the video. But before I came out and said that, I knew I would have to have some further proof. So I clicked into her latest video that she has on her channel at the time of recording, and she said this.
Maybe your partner doesn't have Lyme disease a la Justin Bieber, but maybe he's depressed. Oh, I'm so depressed. He suffers from anxiety. Oh, that's interesting. A white man, most of them are, a white man on planet Earth suffers from anxiety and depression. I'm not saying that they don't. Some people do, absolutely. But you know what? They need to get the fuck out of the way and stop dating. They need to get the fuck out of the way. They don't get to keep dating.
You're not allowed to be depressed because you're white. You're not allowed to have anxiety because you're male. And to even imply, as she did, that that's not true because of those things is evil. But then to imply that these people suffering don't deserve relationships is doubly evil. If you're in a relationship and you at the point where you can't function in a way that's fair to both you and your partner, then sure, definitely hold off on getting in a relationship. But to just your sweeping statement that all men who suffer from anxiety and depression need to stop dating, that is wrong and just nasty, evil. So yes, clearly she does have a huge issue with men not only sharing their mental health journeys, but having mental illnesses. I've never seen so much animosity directed towards people who are suffering from anxiety and depression. Never thought I would go on my channel and have to make a video about somebody who's discriminatory against people suffering from anxiety and depression. The last two videos we're going to look at both focus around Selena Gomez. Now, the reason I'm bringing her up is because this is where it was revealed to me that not only is Shallon just a hateful person in general, but she has specific issues that I didn't, even as just nasty as what she was saying so far has been, I did not see this coming. So this video is called The Truth About Selena Gomez Bipolar, People Who Make Excuses for Bad Behavior, which this is already an awful title because it's implying that Selena has tried to say I have bipolar disorder and that's why I did these bad things, which she hasn't. But the thumbnail says lying for attention. So this is obviously implying that Selena Gomez is lying about having bipolar disorder.
We're going to talk about our favorite whisper goose, our mortal enemy, Selena Gomez. Realization, in her own words, that she is bipolar. Now, before we get started, I just want to let you know that I'm not here to shit on people with bipolar disorder.
Yes, you are here to crap on her for having this disorder, but let's go ahead and hear you do it.
She doesn't seem to care about herself. She doesn't seem to care about her health, about her reputation, and about her future. And her behavior points to that. So we've talked about Selena so much in this channel, and here we call her the Whisper Goose because that's what she sounds like when she sings, I'm gonna be good to her. Just, is she gonna come chasing me? I don't know.
Honestly, like, it would be funny if it was in any other context, but to start attacking people's, livelihood right after you say they don't care about themselves or their health, and that's reflected in their actions, it's just cruel. Like, to follow that up with, oh, and she can't sing.
I think I'd rather fight Selena Gomez than a goose. Because geese have that dew claw, right there. They can swipe. Selena doesn't have that. She just has a bunch of bad tattoos.
I looked into the bunch of bad tattoos that Selena Gomez has, and I realized that one of them was the semicolon tattoo. The semicolon tattoo is literally an affirmation of solidarity against suicide, depression, addiction, etc. So, of course, Shallon would think that that's a bad tattoo. You know what I mean? Because we know how she feels about people with suicide, depression, etc. But wait until we learn about how she feels about people with addiction.
But we do know that Selena has an issue with alcohol. And she started ramping up her drinking after her kidney transplant. Selena was spotted doing shots at the Four Seasons Hotel. I actually worked for the company that broke this story at the time. I know exactly who the source was. It was a photographer. They weren't lying. She was downing shots when? Right after Justin and Hailey's engagement. Oh,
All right, so this is just a lie. It's not true. That's simple enough, and it's not something that happened.
you know, I could probably help you. I'm not going to because you annoy me and bore me at the same time, which is a deadly combination.
You're just so ugly. You're just ugly, ugly. Just the ugliest thing I've ever heard. You know, oh, I could help you, but I'm not going to because I don't.
Selena, I could probably help you. I'm not going to because you annoy me and bore me at the same time, which is a deadly combination.
Imagine if somebody said that about you when you're trying to share a problem with them. It's like, oh yeah, well, I could help you with that, but you're annoying. And the thing that you're calling annoying is the problem that they have. And it's not like people who suffer from mental illnesses are not already struggling with the feeling like, oh my gosh, I am annoying and nobody wants to hear this and nobody cares. So just for her to go on such a large platform and verbalize that is despicable. In my final video, I watched Selena Gomez boyfriend reaction. And this is going to be the first time you see a song review video turn into a hate video.
We are going to talk about Selena's new song, Boyfriend. I can't stand Selena Gomez. Why? Not because she's got an autoimmune disease, not because she struggled with substance abuse issues and she continues to still drink and do drugs probably. It's because she lies. So if you're here to be like, oh, leave Selena alone, bitch, she is alone. She is alone. When she overdoses, and she will, y'all can thank yourselves because you didn't hold her accountable for shit.
Doesn't seem like something that's allowed on YouTube to say, oh yeah, she's gonna overdose and it's you guys' fault. I definitely don't think that's within the guidelines. Like, but if it is, hey, more power to you. But no, yeah, she went on her channel and said Selena Gomez is gonna overdose from an addiction that she's putting on her.
First line, I want a boyfriend. I keep hitting dead ends. Try to take a shortcut, but get cut again and again. I want a boyfriend. Tell me, are there any good ones left? Not for you, boo. They want their kidneys. Selena doesn't need a boyfriend. She needs another drink. She needs a fix. She needs some maybe vital organs. How's that pancreas doing, boo?
Okay, so if you're wondering where this is coming from, due to lupus complications, Selena Gomez has had, I think, a kidney transplant. So yeah, this is Shallon mocking and just attacking Selena over the kidney transplant that she had to have because of her lupus that she was suffering from. So okay.
Selena has said in multiple interviews she continues to drink. Whatever, it's my life, let me live it. It's not your life, it's Francia Race's life. It's her kidney that she has given to you so that you may live, and that's how you repay her. And this is what, she makes me insane.
Hey, it's Selena Gomez. Listen to my new song, Boyfriend, on the deluxe version of my album, Rare, right now on Amazon.
That girl is drunk. That girl is drunk and or high, looks like 4 Xannies just kicked in with a shot of Jack to cool it out. That is not a sober person. They latch on to one little loophole to enable their behavior. And if you guys keep doing that, she's not gonna make it to 27. She's just not. That's not how the human body can function. But it gets worse. And by worse, I mean infinitely better, infinitely better.
Yeah, so she said Selena Gomez is gonna die, but it gets worse. And by worse, I mean better than Selena Gomez dying at age 27.
Oh, I forgot to say that her teeth look like dentures. She looks like George Washington with like wooden teeth.
So that was all I could take from her channel. And the reason I didn't upload yesterday was because I was feeling like this. So yeah, she definitely has something against Selena Gomez. And through just looking at a couple of tweets, I very quickly determined a correlation between another disturbing trait. So it brings me no joy whatsoever to report that Shallon Lester is a pedophile. Surprise, that's the underlying thing under all of this. She's just a literal pedophile and has been since the age of 25. Obviously, I could get in humongous trouble for saying that, so I'm just gonna outline some things. By pedophile, I'm going with the literal definition off of Google, which is an adult who has sexual attraction to minors. And the reason I'm calling her a pedophile are because of these tweets. This first tweet saying, Justin Bieber's sex dream, don't mind if I do. And by the way, this tweet is from 2010. So Justin Bieber was 16. And like I said, Shallon was 25 at that time. So pedophile, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, she's just a creepy woman posting creepy things, because if you don't call it what it is, that's how these people get away with it. Now, it is worth noting that this tweet is deleted off of the website for obvious reasons. And I tried to find like more screenshots of it than this one I'm showing. It was getting too hard to verify if that specific tweet was real. Well, guess what? This one is still on Twitter. I screenshotted this. It's from 2011. When Justin was, 16? 17? February. Oh, so he was still 16. And she said, am I going to try to make out with a gay guy who looks like Justin Bieber? You're goddamn right I am. For context, Justin Bieber looked like this at the time. And like I said, Shallon was 25. So, yeah, you're just a huge pedophile. And, I mean, sex dreams about children, etc. And then the other thing that I think I'm almost forgetting at this point, just because of how absurd this is Justin Bieber he's still here, but he is a real person and was an actual kid at the time. This is a real person she's tweeting about. It's be the exact same thing as if some man went on Twitter and just tweeted, I'm going to make out with a lesbian who looks like Millie Bobby Brown. So the reason I'm saying this is connected is because some of you may have already put two and two together, but Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez were actually like an item. For several years, they were together. And so for the last 10 years, at least, ever since Justin was a child, Shallon Lester has just idolized him sexually. And she hates Selena Gomez for obvious reasons. And beyond that, you can find more sex dream tweets like later into the years after Justin was already, an adult at the time. But still like 18, he didn't turn 18 and then she decided, oh, I feel this way now. She had been tweeting like this for years. And her hatred for Selena Gomez is so extreme at this point. She's over here saying she's going to die at age 27 of an overdose, but it gets better. So yeah, that's the kind of person that we're dealing with. I'm looking at my notes right here and I have some things here about like her audience and the overarching issues with this, but I can't keep sitting here and doing this right now in this moment. So I think I've presented all the information that I have. I can't wrap it up with a tidy little bow right now, and I'm sorry. I know I was a lot less coherent in this video than I typically am, but this is attempt 3 at recording this, and I feel like I've been putting myself through a shredder every time I try to record this, and then I try to piece myself back together and do it again. So this is as good as we're gonna get, but the information is out there. The tweet I talked about is still on her Twitter. She blocked me before I got this video out, but it's still there. Yeah, this is a person just running loose on YouTube, and somebody had to say something about that. Ultimately, I'm going to be okay, because I'm just going to go play Animal Crossing or something like that, and hang out with people who are not like this. So, ultimately, who cares?